Well, thank you very much. My highly developed sense of humor is one of the reasons I'm here today. It sometimes gets me in trouble, as you well know. So anyway, thank you for the pressure. I appreciate that. I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful to be here today. Sarah, how did you know what I was going to say today? This is unbelievable. Didn't she do a great job? Give her a round of applause. I think it's just terrific. And of course, that's what we are about today. We're about having that kind of achievement evidence through what we're trying to do in public education, and clearly it's an opportunity for all of us to take stock. And I really appreciate what we're doing here. Thank you very much for the opportunity to also do a little speaking here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say a few things and then hopefully be able to take some questions from all of you, so I'll look forward to doing that. Let me just say, because of the fact Sierra's here, I thought I would read a little note that I received. You know, university presidents are in the process, are always in the business, as are law school deans, and our great law school dean is here, and many other people in the process of recruiting the very best and brightest. And I gave a speech recently, which I talked about the fact that the goal of West Virginia University is to move ourselves from excellence to eminence. We just simply want to be the best at what we do. And there was this young student by the name of Brad in the audience, and I just thought I'd read this note. Dear President Gee, I'm a senior in high school, and I'm trying to decide between Penn State and West Virginia University for college. Now I know. When I heard you speak recently, I was very impressed with your message about moving West Virginia University from excellence to impotence. Brad is doing very well at Penn State, I can assure you, as a matter of fact. Then one of the things that I love to do is I love to go out and I love to go and read to various grade school groups. It's just kind of fun. You go in there, all these bright eyes, and having returned to Morgantown, I wanted to go and see two schools that my daughter went to school at when she was here: Suncrest Elementary, North Elementary, and so I had a chance to go there. And then obviously the teachers, these were third graders, obviously the teachers had made these poor kids send me some kind of a note. And so here are a couple of the notes I received. This one is from Maria Foster at North Elementary. Dear President Keith, thank you for reading to us. It is always a pleasure to have someone read to you besides the mean librarian. We all enjoyed the book. You did a great job showing the pictures and speaking loudly. This one comes from Jamie Shent's class at Suncrest Elementary. Mr. Gordon, thank you for coming to visit. It was fun because you're almost the same size as us. I have to tell you, at commencement, I was just coming into this, and this mother grad told me, she said, "Aren't you the president of West Virginia University?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "But you're so small," and didn't know quite what to say. Anyway, this one is, Dear Principal Gee, it was fun to meet you. Thank you. Me and my friend Betsy want to know if you buy all of your ties from McDonald's or just the red ones. But my favorite one, out of all the notes I've received recently, this one by far and away is the favorite. Dear Dr. Gee, I'm sorry to laugh about it, but I just have, every time I think about it, I laugh at it. Dear Dr. Gee, thanks for giving us your time. I thought it was exciting and fun. I learned that looks could be deceiving. In that regard, I was telling the story the other day. I'm rushing through the O'Hare Airport, and this woman grabs hold of my sleeve, and she says, "Can I have your autograph?" I said, "How cool, I'm in the airport. Someone wants my autograph." I wrote my name down, E. Gordon Gee. She looked at it and she said, "Gordon Gee?" She said, "Who in heck's sake are you?" I thought you were Lou Holtz. So anyway, I want to tell a little story here if I can. In the early 1970s, a little girl in Clarksburg was growing up in a house so crowded that she had to sleep at the bottom of her parents' bed. Diane was the youngest of 7 children and an average student at Adamson Elementary School. Her father, who worked at Union Carbide, had been bright enough to skip 2nd grade, but he then dropped out of school soon after to help support his younger siblings. Diane started working at a young age also, and by 8, she was picking up garbage at the Dairy Queen restaurant to exchange for hot dogs and Cokes. She would continue to work hard all of her life, but it was a 3rd grade teacher named Mrs. Bonner who convinced her to dream bigger than menial jobs. Diane said, "She really changed my life. She sort of took me under her wing. She started with my handwriting and told me I had nice handwriting. She believed in me, and she told me, 'Diane, you can do whatever you want to do.' And I said, 'Really?' From that point on, Diane decided to do her best. She excelled in school and worked at McDonald's to put herself through Fairmont State. Today, Diane Lewis is one of West Virginia's most successful entrepreneurs. Actions Facilities Management, a company she started in her basement with her teenage son acting as her secretary, now serves many government agencies. Diane is on the board of Teaming to Win, which works to improve small business prospects in West Virginia. She runs a nonprofit organization called Members of Diversity that help put minority youth on a path to success, and I'm pleased to say that she serves on the Board of Governors of West Virginia University. Each of Diane's successes flowed from one moment, the moment a teacher helped her believe in her own potential. Since its origins in the early years of our republic, public education has nurtured the human spirit one child at a time. Our country was born in the age of enlightenment. We know that, a time of rapid advancement in scientific, political, and philosophical thinking. And into the fabric of our country's history, education was always and has been inextricably woven. In the farewell address ending the first presidential term, George Washington called upon his fellow Americans to establish institutions, and I quote, institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge. Our founding fathers knew that our radical experiment in self-government would only succeed if its citizens had the knowledge to reason and debate, to think and to act. Public education has been a keystone of self-governance from the nation's earliest days. In America's darkest moments, in the turmoil of civil war, President Abraham Lincoln expanded the promise of public education to higher education, extending opportunity beyond the wealthy and well-connected. It is important to recall the times in which, of course, Lincoln had the vision and wisdom to sign the Morrill Act, creating the land-grant institutions of which West Virginia is clearly one. 1862 was the year of the Battle of Shiloh, the Battle of Bull Run, and Antietam. The losses in those three battles were nearly beyond comprehension, greater than all the losses of American life in World War II. Uncertainty was high and hope was scarce. But Lincoln, the son, of course, of illiterate parents from the country's vast frontier, recognized that the story of human progress is inextricably bound to education. In the beginning, our nation's shameful history of racism and sexism made it hard for some citizens to benefit from public education. But over time, our schools evolved to provide opportunity for every child in this diverse and complicated nation. Public education remains today a beacon of hopes and dreams and progress. Sometimes, of course, it is easier to see the importance of a familiar institution through the perspective of an outsider. I had a conversation in China. I tell this story. I was telling this story the other day. I had a conversation in China. I was asked to come and speak to the gathering of university presidents and chancellors. This is when I was at Vanderbilt University, and on my schedule also was a 15-minute meeting with the Minister of Education for China, a man responsible for the education of 1.3 billion people, the Chinese system. And of course, I thought that it would be the typical Chinese meeting. I've been to China a number of times. You'd come in, there would be a smoke-filled room, you'd sit around, there'd be an interpreter, and you'd say a few nice things, and you'd leave. And so 15 minutes turned into 3.5 hours, and he started asking, you know, why'd you do this at West Virginia University? Why'd you do this at Ohio State? Why'd you do this at Colorado? Why'd you ruin Brown? He went on about a number of things, and but he kept asking the same question to me, which I thought was absolutely insightful, but more importantly, he understood the American system. He kept saying, how do you Americans teach creativity? Now, I wasn't going to tell him because it's a state secret. But he understood what we need to understand, and that is the fact that we have 315 million souls. There are 1.3 billion Chinese, 1.2 billion Indians, and together, in terms of mass, they will succeed. In terms of creativity, we have to succeed, otherwise we will no longer be relevant in this world. And so innovation has always been a vivid strain and a vivid strand in the American mosaic. Another outsider looking at us through another lens was the 19th century political thinker Alexis de Tocqueville. And he identified creativity as one of the unique, and he said this, interpreted from the French, one of the unique habits of the heart. He also talked about rising to higher standards, de Tocqueville. And he said that's what distinguished the American spirit. That was 1830, by the way. And our world is crying out for innovation as never before. They understood it. The Chinese minister understands it. We understand it. In the early 20th century, America's wealthiest people, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, they made their fortunes, as we know, from manufacturing, the hard work people did in their steel mills and coal mines and oil fields. Now, in this century, arguably the richest man in the world, Bill Gates, owes his fortune, owes everything that he has to ideas and technology developed in our nation's universities. Imagination. And let me underscore that again. Imagination. Imagination. Remember that word. Today is what steel was 120 years ago, the very building block of progress. We live in an era when ideas will be catalysts of virtually all future economic progress. And that means that education has never been more vital. As educators, we have, and we have to think about it this way, we have a covenant with our children and our children's children. We have a covenant to extend this country's founding principles of education in a true democracy. Education expands individual opportunities, stimulates the economy, and creates jobs. We know that. Why does it take us so much to figure that out? But it does more than that, and this is what's important. It makes every one of us in this room free. It makes us free people. The fact that a small-town guy from Utah, me, can become president of some of the leading universities in this country is a testament to the American dream. Public education opens the American dream to every one of us, and not just for a moment, but forever. Future generations need us to keep the American dream within reach. Improving education is a signal issue of our nation's future, economically, socially, intellectually, artistically. In a time of social and economic disruption, Americans look to public education for solutions, and of course they should. We are being asked to provide answers because of the uniquely powerful role that education has played in America to fulfill our country's founding ideal of meritocracy. Meritocracy based on ability and action to sustain our democracy through an informed citizenry and to right the wrongs of bigotry and oppression. In recent years, education at all levels has endured the skeptical glare of national spotlight. People tell us we are doing too little, doing too much, doing the wrong thing, doing the right thing the wrong way. People in government offices lob ever-changing solutions toward our classrooms. No child left behind, Common Core, standardized testing, the race to the top. And our students too often come to us with challenges that impede their progress, troubled families, a lack of role models, hunger. More than 1 in 4 West Virginia children live in poverty. More than half of our children qualify for free or reduced price lunches. This, to me, is absolutely staggering. Economic disparities beget educational disparities. Recent studies, by the way, have shown that children born to wealthier parents are nearly 5 times more likely to become college graduates than those born in more modest circumstances. Meanwhile, primary and secondary school budgets shrink. Truly, these are challenging times for all levels of education. But in the words of a cynical but apt saying, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. A crisis forces us to clarify priorities, and it brings what is important into sharper relief. The sense of urgency grows each day, and this moment presents us with the greatest of opportunities. I believe this. I believe that in my time as university president for nearly 35 years, there's never been a time in which there's more of an opportunity to succeed with higher education than right now. For far too long, we have acted in isolation from one another, educational institutions. Hoarding our marbles and imagining the broad framework of education is a zero-sum game. Colleges and universities cannot solve our nation's problems alone, and neither can primary and secondary schools. A new sustainable system, an ecological system of education requires our unrelenting pursuit of deeper partnerships with one another, with business and industry, with government, and with our communities. In academia, we used to say, publish or perish. Our new saying has to be partner or perish. If we welcome all good ideas and develop new partnerships, if we cast our gaze around the world and expand our imaginations, then there is no question in my mind that we will succeed. But we are at one of those crisis times. We have no moment to waste. So, ladies and gentlemen, during the Civil War, General George McClellan became famous, infamous actually, for dithering. He refused to take action. He refused to implement changes. He refused to seize the opportunities presented his army because he wondered if waiting just one more minute, just a moment longer, might bring forth slightly more advantageous conditions. Within his inaction lies a great lesson. The journey to oblivion starts by waiting just a single moment more. Indeed, war historians contend that McClellan's unyielding hesitancy undermined the value of the strategies he was attempting to support. One of his great contemporaries, General Henry Halleck, said of McClellan, I love this quote, "There is an immobility here that exceeds all that any man can conceive of. It requires the lever of Archimedes to move this inert mass." For American education, it is time to move. We must move boldly and seek first-order change. The truth is we can do better. I know that, you know that. You only have to look at recent newspaper headlines to see our shortcomings. A recent assessment of students in 14 states found that West Virginia students ranked last in reading. Last. Our high school seniors tied for the worst scores in math. For 2 years in a row, Kids Count has ranked our state 47th in education. Students first gave us an F on its educational report card, and we were one of only 7 states to receive that failing grade. If we want to build a prosperous future of West Virginia, failing is not an option. Our history has shown that we can succeed in improving education when we focus on shared goals. West Virginia made pre-K education available to all 4-year-olds. We have increased, by doing that, our high school graduation rate, though at a slower rate than many other states. As we tell our students, we can achieve anything if we work hard enough. That is why today I would like to issue a call to action to educators at all levels, as well as community and business leaders, and this is just as much for me as for all of you. So we all have to work together to wholly reinvigorate and reshape our schools to create a fully rounded ecological system of education that is truly lifelong, one in which our interdependencies are our greatest strengths. First, let me try some of these on you. Let us make sure children start school with the skills they need to thrive. Pre-K is a great start, but the critical period for brain development occurs even earlier in life's first 3 years. Recently, the percentage of infants and toddlers living in low-income families has risen. These children face many disadvantages that can impede their success in school. For example, children in high-income families hear, this is astonishing to me, hear 33 million more words by age 3 than those in low-income families. Just as children are learning to play, the playing field is already skewed against some of them. As someone with toddler granddaughters, I have 18-month-old identical twin granddaughters, and I watch them grow and flourish. And I find those figures staggering and tragic. High-quality early child care can help to level the playing field. A recent Kids Count report showed that our state has a dire shortage of high-quality child care programs for our youngest children. Yet Nobel Prize-winning economist James Heckman recently found that investing in our youngest children produces greater returns than investment in any other age group. So let us advocate today for those investments. Second, let us continue to work to improve science, technology, engineering, and math in West Virginia. STEM, we know that word, is the future for our children in our state. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, STEM job opportunities are growing at nearly twice the rate of other fields. Improving STEM education is critical to maintaining America's traditional and opportunistic leadership in innovation. In order to meet its workforce needs, the United States will need approximately 1 million more STEM professionals than are projected to graduate over the next decade. Now, we're working on that as a university. But let me also say at the same time, we must resist the temptation just to bolster STEM, because that's what the Chinese do and that's what the Indians do. You become a technocrat. We need to make certain that we don't bolster STEM by gutting education in the arts and humanities. In fact, I believe that we ought to change the word STEM to STEAM and include the arts as part of that. The arts, thank you. The arts make our lives richer, more compassionate, more fulfilled. They are, in fact, what is what is and what makes us uniquely human. So we are not technocrats, we are human beings. Third, we must encourage high school students to take more rigorous courses. Fourth, we must help students develop a global perspective. We live in a world, there are going to be 9 billion souls in this world by the year 2025. I mean, think about that. It's growing exponentially. At that time, the Malthusian theory is the fact that we'll level off. But we cannot live in isolated West Virginia. We can't build a fence around ourselves or around this country. The issue of Fortress America is no longer the case. We have students on our campus who come from 110 countries and speak 100 different languages. And that is the way that West Virginia comes and goes to the world. And that's the way that our students need to think. We need to think in a global perspective, not in an ironically small perspective. Fifth, we must keep college affordable for our students. It's just that simple. Now, fortunately, I'm at an institution which is very affordable comparatively. I used to tell the story about the fact that I was at a couple of institutions in which we didn't care about affordability, and it was shameful. At Brown, great institution, one of the 8 Ivy League institutions, I set tuition very simply. I would wait for Harvard to set its tuition. I did Brown's $100 less. I had no concern about families, no concern about debt, no concern about anything. I'm not necessarily proud of that, but that is, of course, an erosion of our future when we do such things. Sixth, we must make certain that more students who enter college leave with a degree. The issue is this, it's a very simple one. We do a great job of having deans of admission. We need to have deans of completion. We need to make certain that people are completing. It does us no good. It does us no good to have them come in and then have them become academic boat people and float away into some different world. We have to complete that. And that is so important. Finally, we must tell our stories. Let me just say this. We must tell our stories. One of the great problems in our country is the fact that we tell stories, but we don't tell them correctly. We yell at each other. We don't talk with each other. We have incivility and disrespect. Those are not stories. What we have to do is we have to tell our stories and communicate the value of education to individuals and to society. We need to describe in concrete terms how education changes lives, improves communities, feeds the world, sustains art and culture, and cures diseases. Well, we have been doing a number of those things at our institution. We've been doing a number of those things in this state. And what happened was what these will do for these children that we are working with is what Diane Lewis's teacher did for her. Open their eyes to what they can achieve in college and beyond. So this is something that each of us need to think about. At West Virginia University, I'm very blessed. I see 33,000 reasons for hope around every day. These are young people that many of you have raised or taught. They are diverse, collaborative, fearless, globally aware, and entrepreneurial. They are absolutely determined to make a difference. West Virginians' young people have tremendous potential. Employers love our graduates. I think it is because of the independent spirit of the people and the fundamental moral fiber that runs through this state that you cannot find in any other place. I do believe that. When our students reach their full potential, then their trajectory is obviously unlimited. Recently, while presiding at commencement, I talked to many beaming graduates and their family members. It was so embracing and so wonderfully warm for me. I met students who have come to our university from every possible background and life experience. Many of them started their journey, as I did, in a small town. Now, thanks to the education offered at our university, they are ready to conquer the world. Adam Kart, for example, this is my last, I know the word finally is a grateful word for many people. Adam Kart, for example, came from tiny Hicko in Fayette County. His family did not have much money, and scholarships made it possible for him to attend our university. Our McNair Scholars Program, which helps first-generation and disadvantaged students, changed his life. Working with his faculty mentor, he realized that research was his true passion. With his diploma now in hand, Adam is heading off to pursue a PhD in systems biology at Harvard University. And they're damn lucky to have him. Our young people can match up with anyone if we give them the tools to do so. At this moment of truth, we cannot shrug, we can't walk away, we have no choice. That's not what people in this state do. So the question for us is not whether we have the will. The question for us is not whether we like being West Virginians. The question is not whether we want to improve the lives and quality of our people. The question is, do we have the courage to do what is necessary to make life better? That is the question of the day. I believe the answer is yes, and I look to all of us to make that happen. Saying that, if there are any questions that I can answer for about 5 minutes or so, I'm willing to do so. Any questions that I can answer? Yes?
What are your thoughts on getting our best, brightest young students into the teaching field?
Well, first of all, by the way, I've got a mic on. Oh, this works. Hey, thank you, my friend. You know, the word Lehrer in German is much more dignified than the word doctor or lawyer or engineer, because the Germans believe that teaching is the highest of professions. Now, I happen to be a lawyer, and we have a law school dean here, and we have I just saw our dean, Bob, back there, who is our dean of arts and science. I don't diminish any of our professions, but I do think that one of the things that we have done is we've always said, and I hear this all the time, oh, if you can't be a doctor, you can't be a lawyer, you can't be an engineer, you can always be a teacher. What we've done is we've set the bar for teaching as what you can always do if you can't do anything else. What we have to do, we have to say, if you can't be a lawyer, if you can't be a teacher, then go become a lawyer or a doctor. So we have to change the equation. And we have to do it through financial realities also. You know, teachers in Germany are paid more than are many of the other professions. Singapore, the teachers are paid at a dramatic level. They're paid very well because they realize that great teachers are the investment in our future. So it's a matter of reward recognition, and it's a matter of us turning the equation around. And it's pretty simple to do. A little money and a little recognition will make this a whole lot better place. Questions? Yes, hi.
I'm Dr. Larson. I'm president of Pierpont Community and Technical College here, partner here in Morgantown. And I did want to say that one of those many diplomas that you handed out over your lifetime was my son, who's a graduate from Ohio State University when you were there. He speaks very highly of you. I know that when you were at Ohio State, you worked very closely with the community college system in the state of Ohio. The system here in West Virginia is very new and somewhat still fragmented. I wonder if you could maybe enlighten the group or in your partnership, really emphasize that partnership with community college.
You know, I've been privileged to be president of these massive public and highly ranked private institutions. I believe the front door to the American dream is not my institution. In fact, I tell this story that I'd wake up every day at Brown and Vanderbilt, two great universities. I mean, no doubt about it. They're ranked in the top 10 by U.S. News, which doesn't mean much in many ways. But I always ask the question, why am I here? Because in the end, it was about a precious institution doing precious things, but 85% of the people in this country are educated in our public institutions. And the most important part of that public institutional setting are our community colleges. The community colleges are the front door to the American future and the American dream. There's no doubt about it. So what we have to do, and remember what I said, it's about partner or perish now. It used to be that we'd have these kind of fights. You know, there'd be K through 12, and we'd fight them, and then there would be the community colleges, and we'd fight them, and then there would be the universities, and we'd fight among each other. And I mean, it was hand-to-hand combat. It was not a civilized behavior. I was telling someone a funny story the other day about the fact that Woodrow Wilson, when he left the presidency of Princeton to become the governor of New Jersey, they said, "Why'd you do that?" And he said, "Because he wanted to get out of politics." So I think that so today, you and I need a partner. I mean, we have to have pathways. I was saying, I gave the address on Saturday at the Southern Community College in Logan. I mean, these kids were just fabulous. I mean, I would love to have hugged every one of them, and I nearly did, as a matter of fact. But and just embrace them and say, boy, now you really have done something, because you are coming off of circumstances that limited you in so many different ways, and now they had really achieved something. But the most important thing is we now need to make that partnership. So there needs to be a pathway between you and me, so that kids can come to your place and say, I can go to medical school, I can go to law school, I can do a variety of other things, and we build these pathways. So that my dean of law, my great dean of law standing right over here, knows that she can work with these community colleges, and we can get great students and great opportunity, and we can open up rather than close down. And I think that is the issue. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I do have another speech to give at 1:30, and I'd much rather stay and hang out with all of you. But I really appreciate the opportunity. Everyone have a great day. Thank you very much.